My name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is the trauma gift. It is common as a human to feel like you want to be comfortable, I want to be comfortable on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level. I want to be happy, like, oh my God, that was awkward. Let me avoid embarrassment and awkwardness and undesired situations. And our evolution, our greatest growth, our greatest leaps forward actually occur through the trauma, trial, tribulation, and challenge that we have. And every trial, tribulation, trauma, challenge that we're ever given is called a problem with a gift for you in its hands. It's an opportunity for you to evolve, for you to express your character. If you, weren't dealing with someone that was super irritating or impatient or frustrating, you might not have the opportunity to share with the world the quality of character called patience, called compassion, So when we have a trial, a tribulation, a trauma, a darkened hour here at Earth School, because we're eternal, we have like all the time in the world to do whatever we want to do. You can take up as many flesh costumes as you want. Your journey can be as long and winding of a road as you want. You can take thousands upon thousands upon thousands of lifetimes to evolve, and you can stay really focused and do it a lot more quickly. That shorter path, though, does require a lot of trauma, trial, and tribulation and a lot of integration of those experiences, because when you consider the concept of eternality, and now I can speak to you about this in a scientific level, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. You are made solely of energy. Everything you've ever seen is made of solely energy, and it cannot be created nor destroyed, which is eternality in essence. Another way to say that from the spiritual side, which is shamanically often where I'm looking, is that you are eternal. There was no starting point. You've always been here. Spirit has always existed. I and the Father are one. The Father's always been around. You are an eternal being. So if you think about your physical body, your physical body can be threatened. It can be cut up into pieces. It can be raped. It can have all kinds of traumatizing, terror-filled experiences. Good Lord knows I've had my share of those. Thanks. Which means I've had a lot of graces, gifts, and opportunity to evolve. And I haven't always been able to hold it there, through the experiences. It's like often after a trauma, you're like, why? Often after a death, you're like, why? Why me? Why did this happen to me? And from my current vantage point at 48, it's like that happened because you created it, Heather, and you wanted to create an experience because you are eternal and you want more and more opportunity, everything in this field being an opportunity to express your evolution and to express your character. You flush up more creations that look like miscreations or look like trauma points or look like sufferings. I don't do it at this point because it's like, yeah, I get it. Like now life has become truly a grace in a lot of ways and surprising ways recently. And like historically, I've had tons of experiences, tons of car accidents, like Heather should not be driving. I try to tell God that all the time. I don't think I should be driving, God. I have a lead foot, bless everybody. I'm working on it. Tons of sexual assault experiences, tons of betrayals, I've met a lot of liars. It always shocks me. I'm like, really, you lie? Isn't that a lot to track? Shouldn't you just share the truth? It's so much easier to track the truth. You know the truth. You didn't have to make something up and then try to keep track of it. And all of those experiences, whatever your experiences are, whether it is physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, whatever your trauma points are, car accidents, whatever it is, that experience gave you the opportunity to express the magnitude of who you be. And it gave you the opportunity to often to touch your eternality. It's like seeing a bunch of dead bodies, which Heather Feather has done. Thank you. I've seen plenty now. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Hades. I appreciate it. I think we're good. It can really cause you to contemplate, where did they go? And when you really sit and stew in, one of the things, because I'm very scientific, I love quantum physics, I freaking love Stephen Hawking, I'm just like so curious by the quantum realm. But one of the things that I did after my mom's death and after like several deaths in a row is I started studying near-death experiences, because an experiencer of death is going to know a lot more about death than a non-experiencer. I would rather learn swimming from somebody who's been a swimmer than somebody that's never been swimming, you know? So experience is a great teacher. It causes you to become a knower rather than just like mouthing platitudes and so as I started to really look at death and look at NDEs and the more I studied, the more I recognized our own eternality. And if I'm eternal, if you can't hurt me, if you can't get rid of me, if I'm always going to be here, then I might as well be doing something with this infinite creative energy that I have. And we are all doing something with this infinite creative energy that we all have. The challenge is that when we have created something that we don't want, and everything in your life you have created because you have creative mind and you are telling the quantum field what experiences to return to you. So for example, if you're wanting to play the role of overgiver, if you want to play, or even unconsciously feel that it is your role to be, this is Heather's, I love to overgive. Sometimes two leggers are like, cut it out, like check in first, you give too much, you know what I mean? And it's not because I'm a saint, it's a lot of different things. Cultural conditioning as a woman. It's, me wanting to ensure that people feel pleasant when they're around me. And if I'm going to play the role of overgiver, I'm going to manifest in my field takers. Because in order for me to be an overgiver, I would have to be with somebody that wasn't themselves an overgiver. Because otherwise, we're just going to both overgive to each other. And so in order for me to play giving out of balance, I would need to have somebody that's doing the role of taking out of balance. So I will manifest before me those takers that are just like, let me get a piece and move on, or let me get something from this woman. And that's my magnetization. That's what my consciousness, if I'm holding awareness that I'm always an overgiver and I give too much, it's naturally going to magnetize those people to me. The challenge is that we want to take those trials, tribulations of like, I'm tired of dealing with liars, takers, rapists, whatever it is. The challenge is that we want to call those experiences, those traumas, bad. But the Buddhists have a beautiful practice of reframing. And they reframe that as like, that serves, it serves because, and it served why? It served because it gave me an opportunity to evolve. It gave me an opportunity to be more honest about the reality of what Earth School offers. It offers shadow and light, love and fear. It offers duality. It caused me to come to a greater understanding of myself in response to trauma. It caused me to have a stronger intention to be more discerning of people and others, and to be more aware of how I share and balance my energies. There is so much that can be gleaned from a trying hour. And all of my greatest depth and profundity really comes from the time that I've spent reflecting on my trials and tribulations. Now, it's important, because in this realm, there's a lot of kind of push towards psychology as being the way to offer the self mental and emotional balance. And seeing a therapist can be very helpful to support you in kind of hearing your own self speak, hearing what's coming out of your mouth, hearing kind of like the loop that you're in to see if you want to create again. And also when we have trauma points, we often hold the breath, and as we do that, the trauma experience can crystallize in the musculature. So doing somatic therapy like ecstatic dance and breath work and, any type of somatic system is where you would work to get that trauma also out of the physical system. Often trauma points lead to healthy practices. I wasn't going to therapy, then I had a trauma, now I have a therapist. I'm not only unpacking the trauma, I'm also unpacking how much, my mom upset me when she said this, or like I'm unpacking my life and I'm like really taking a look at it, and I'm considering like, where is my therapist helped me to really look at how much I do. And there's a point at which she was like, make a list of everything you do, because going into therapy to process the traumas, I she was able to recognize a pattern where like I'm constantly demanding more of myself. And I was always like, I didn't get much done today. When I started making a list, there wasn't a day that passed that I didn't do like 37 to 77 things. Like Heather was running around like a chicken with her head cut off. And it helped me to kind of come to terms with like, Heather, you do a lot more than you realize, babe. A lot more. Like maybe you need more acknowledgement in your life. And I couldn't have come to that conclusion around Heather Feather needing more acknowledgement in her life if Heather Feather hadn't had a trauma that she then decided to unpack in therapy. And further to do somatic therapy and do 10 rebirthing breathwork sessions and clear my channel. So the idea that we often hold is that if I go through something really traumatic, it was bad and I don't know, I can't fix this and I can't, I'm stuck in this loop because of this terrible experience. I would say you actually gave yourself, magnetized, attracted, offered yourself whatever that traumatic experience was because you knew you could not be created nor destroyed. You knew you were eternal and you wanted a bigger, richer opportunity to come back to life and express the vastness and the fullness of all the things you can be in response to existence. Everything being a blessing, everything being an opportunity. So just take a minute here and consider like, how often do I hold conscious awareness that everything in my life is a blessing, is a grace, is a gift? More and more, I'm like, oh, drop that, what a gift. You know, like more and more, like, oh, stub my toe. Yeah, let me be aware of my feet. Focus up, Mackie. Like, thank you for reminding me to be attentive today before I get in a car by having me stub my toe to appreciate the grace of these stumbling blocks that it's actually a block that fits somewhere within you. And it's a matter of finding where it fits, what did it give you? So when I was thinking today as I was driving, it's like, my life has had a lot of trauma. I talk about it in these videos, not for your attention, not for your sympathy. I don't need any of that. It's me out loud processing because perhaps some of you can relate to me. Perhaps some of you have been pinned where I've been pinned. Perhaps you've had sexual assault, rape. Perhaps you've had car accidents. Perhaps you've had betrayals. Perhaps you've met liars. Perhaps you've dealt with addicts or people that don't know how to utilize party substances in a balanced way. You know, and so like, if you've had those experiences, have you considered as well, what did it give you? What did it give you? Me, I spent, you know, historically, I had a 4-year relationship with a really lovely man, but he was an addict and I'm not an addict, you know? And so, it helped me to kind of realize like, I really want to practice more self-care than this. Like there was a period when I first started dating and when I started drinking a lot more because he was an alcoholic. And then he, being in my field of awareness, caused me, Heather Feather, to decide who am I in relationship to the topic of alcohol. Well, considering that Edgar Cayce says it's a poison, it's not something I want to, I want to barf from being too drunk ever again. I don't want to have terrible hangovers because I'm older and hangovers are worse. Doesn't mean I never want to have a drink. Heather can enjoy a nice drink for sure. And it's something that I want to have a balanced relationship with. And him being in my field really caused me to consider that question instead of just drinking however much whenever I want. It caused me to really weigh and consider what does the topic of alcohol mean to Heather Feather? What does the topic of addiction mean to Heather Feather? We are all taking these concepts and we are giving back the content of our character in response to concepts like forgiveness, like patience, like love. Like if somebody betrays you, are you going to forgive? If you don't forgive, it means that you have decided to continue to stay out of accord with your frequency of love. And so when you forgive, you go, you know what? I want to restore myself to the frequency of love that I am, and I'm not going to let someone else's actions get me out of accord with my truth. And so I'm just going to forgive you and give you grace because I'm not always my best self so that I can be more in alignment with my truth. Are there any ways that you can consider gifts and grace that you may have received from the traumas you've experienced in the Living Tree? You can always subscribe to Rare Bird Medicine on YouTube, like and comment there. I'm